But right now, we'll throw it open to questions for Coach, okay?
Joe, I'm Mark Story from the Lexington Herald Leader. So what is the origins of your relationship with Will and how did it develop?
Absolutely, Mark. Thank you. So Will and I go back to, we've both kind of been in kind of parallel coaching jobs. When he was a GA at Texas, then he got out and coached in Texas high school football. And then he was at UTSA. I was at Louisiana Tech at the time. So Dallas, Ruston, San Antonio. And then we played each other when he was at UTSA and I was at Louisiana Tech. And we'd get to know each other on the road, recruited a lot of the same players, had a lot of mutual friends. And that's kind of where our relationship started and has really grown from there. And, then obviously he went to Oregon and I was at LSU and recruiting some of the same quarterbacks. So got to know each other on the road. And then we started getting together in the summers and, our kind of our relationship personally and professionally grew from there and kind of took off. And then we've done a bunch of professional development stuff and really see eye to eye on a lot of things. And I think he's done a phenomenal job in his last several years at Oregon and just what they've done on offense, what he's been able to do with quarterbacks. I think it's really, really impressive. And not just that, right, but also he's a great human being. I think he's a leader. I think he's a fantastic father and husband. And that's why I was so excited to come join him and help him here at Kentucky and start building this championship program the way we want to do it.
Joe John Hill, also with the Herald Leader. How does your philosophy blend with Will's in terms of what you did at LSU and Louisiana Tech and what he did at Oregon, how you kind of mend those together?
Yeah, well, I think one, right, obviously the nuts and bolts of who we're going to be based on Coach Stein's offense at Oregon. I think there's a lot of similarities specifically in the passing game as to what we've done and just some different pieces. And I think we'll blend that. But ultimately, right, it's not going to be Oregon's offense or LSU's offense or whatever that might be. It's going to be Kentucky's offense, right? And we're going to blend. I think we're going to have other really smart people in the room and we're going to build it and build just a foundation of what we want to do. But then we're also going to build it around who we have to highlight our strengths on offense. And I think we got a lot of really good players here that we can start to build it around and then we'll add some. Which I think will be really exciting.
Coach Ethan Gridge, Caps coverage. You talk about the Will Stein's QB development. You're also known for that QB development, multiple QBs at LSU. Can you just talk about how you go about doing that?
Yeah, I think one, right? Well, it always helps to have really good players, right? So that's good. So there's really some really talented players. But I think when it comes to development of any position, right, one, I think you have to have a great program right within your building, just in general in terms of just what you do in the off season, right, and how you approach things. But I think for quarterbacks specifically, there's a lot of things that have to work together at once, and just the growth mentally in the playbook, right, understanding defenses. Defenses have gotten better. I think you saw this year. I mean, this year to me, there was a lot of really good defense around the country, and I think some stats have shown that. But understanding defense, understanding what they're good at, right, and where they need to improve, and then also then there's a growth in technique at the same time, right? So understanding the football and a growth in technique, and then the leadership aspect, right, and how they're taking charge of the football team around them, how they're carrying themselves. So much of quarterback play is responding to adversity. Because this is a game of adversity. The quarterback gets a ton of a ton of attention, good and bad. A lot of times, too much good and too much bad. But I think dealing with all those things, right? And I think everything has to be working in conjunction and have a plan and be really intentional every single day about what you're doing, right? And we'll put a plan together. That's what I've done in the past. That's what Coach Stein's done in the past, and we'll do that for everybody in our program, but specifically for our quarterbacks.
Joe, Nick Rush with KSR. Will said, I don't want to be a great play caller, I want to be a great head coach. So what's the sort of process going to look like, how you guys are going to work together, call plays, and do game plan together?
Well, we're going to do whatever Will says. I'm here to support Will, right? And however he sees this working the best, and we'll work through some of that. I know he asked me to come over here and to run the offense and through the vision of what the head coach wants it to be. And I think that's your job as an assistant coach. You want to make your head coach the best head coach he can be and run the program, help him run the program the way he sees fit. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to run his offense, right? And it's going to be our offense together. And then however, as we work through this off season, right, we'll get into a lot more of those details and be able to answer some of those questions. But I think right now the important thing is the relationship that we have, the plan, and understanding that we're going to do everything right that we need to do on a daily basis to put ourselves in a position to have the type of explosive offense we want to have.
What's the just sort of process like now that he's out in Eugene, he's preparing for something, you're here?
It sure would be a lot easier if he was on Eastern time. You know what I mean? I call him in the morning. I'm waking him up. Me or Pat, our GM will call him, and then at night, he'll be rolling for about an hour, and it's like 11:30. You know what I mean? So that's okay. So, but just a lot of phone calls. And I think it speaks to who Will is. He's really given. He's doing a great job wearing two hats, right? And giving the offensive players at Oregon his attention to make sure that they have the best game plan and are as prepared as possible for their championship run right here in December and January. And I think he's done a fantastic job of that while also making sure that we get off, we take advantage of, get off on the right foot and take advantage of this time, right, and preparing for what's going to go on here in January, right, and set the tempo for next year, right, in Kentucky football. So I think he's doing a great job of that. I think he's continually hiring some really good people, which I think is critical. So I've been excited to see that, but I definitely think, a lot of calls, a lot of Zooms, right, whatever we can do, and we fit him in. We can work around him, right? The rest of us, we can work around him. So that's what we're trying to do.
Joe, Adam Luck at KSR, which is, if you had a contact with Cutter Bowling, what have the conversations been like with him as you've, moved forward?
Oh, they've been awesome. Yeah, Cutter and I've been around each other every day, and excited to work with him. Love what he did there at the end of the year. I think he's got a great future. So he's been great. I recruited him back when he was in high school. We've had a long-standing relationship. Fantastic kid, tough, right, and really talented. So it's been great.
How do you balance that, even if Cutter's the guy? I think you're down 2 scholarship quarterbacks right now. Finding some competition or depth or whatever in the portal, that doesn't seem like it.
Well, I don't know about all that, but we'll every college football team in America is going to have 4 quarterbacks in the room, right? So you always got to do that, right? Just in terms of it's a position that way, just like any other position, right? Just like we'll need 10 receivers or 5, 6 tight ends, whatever it might be. So we'll do that, but ultimately, I mean, that's just college football, right? That's football in general, right? You got to fill out a roster, so we'll always do that.
Joe, have you had a chance to watch film, and if so, what is your impression of Matt Bonifaz?
Well, I'm allowed to talk about Matt now that he's signed. Matt's an excellent football player. I think Matt did to play the way he played with truly, like, he's a true baseball player. It's not like, he's a dual sport that plays football and then kind of like he plays baseball. I mean, I would talk to Matt in recruiting. He'd be, it's 11 o'clock at night. He just got done with 3 games in a day, right, in Atlanta, and some because I recruited Matt a little bit at my last place. So I think he has elite arm talent. I think he's toughness in the pocket. He's really creative, and I think he's a really good athlete in terms of his balance, his mobility, right, and his ability to create power. So I couldn't be more excited about Matt.
Joe, Ryan Black, the little recruiter, you mentioned in your first answer about like how you got to know Coach Stein and all that. What are some of the memories that you just have of him from those earlier times? Was there, I guess, a point that you're like, man, this guy might be a head coach sooner rather than later? Was there any kind of memories that stand out about those?
Well, I think Will has a presence to him, right? I don't know that there's like this story or whatever that might be, but I think he has a presence to him. People are drawn to him. He has a really positive attitude. I think that permeates right when he's around. And I think he naturally has an excitement, but yet also there's a natural standard to what he does every single day in everything that he does. And I think that's easy to see from him. And I think he kind of creates that aura. So that's something that you see in people, right? That they're going to be able to lead, right, an organization, right? And these are college football today, right? These are big organizations. You got a lot of players, a lot of coaches, a lot of staff members, right? The Kentucky community. I mean, so there's so many people that are looking to him, and he has that natural presence, right, that it takes. And then he has a great plan, and I think we can see that already. And I'm excited to get to work on it.
So did you sense it back then? Did he already kind of give off that vibe of like, this will be a guy who's capable of running? Or is it too soon to
No. Oh, it's not too soon to know. No. We're good on that, right? But I think when you meet people, right, even when they're young, you can see that somebody has the ability to be a leader of men, who has the presence and the detail and the intelligence, right, to adapt and lead something like this, right? And I think you can see that early, right? Now, whether that ends up happening, right? Obviously, Will's done a lot of things in between those times, but you could see early, right? In my relationship with Will, that he was going to be really successful in this business and had the opportunity to be a head football coach. And I think that's come to fruition, which is awesome.
Joe, you developed a reputation as an excellent recruiter, particularly in Louisiana. What would you say to somebody who's skeptical that Kentucky can recruit players from that area?
Well, I mean, I was 26 years old and Skip Holtz hired me at Louisiana Tech, and I had never been to Louisiana. So, and he said, "Hey, you're going to recruit Baton Rouge. What do you think about recruiting Baton Rouge?" I said, "All right, that sounds good to me," right? And it was really nice. We had like a Crown Vic. It was the first one I had was light baby blue. The second one was red, cherry red. Was nice, and rolled down there, man. We started just developing relationships. So I think recruiting this is a people business. Coaches and mentors and family members, they want to know that you have a plan for their son, on and off the field, to develop them to their fullest potential. And what I look forward to is the opportunity to develop relationships right in all the areas that we're going to recruit. And I think that's what it's going to be. That's what it's about, is having open doors, right? Answering the phone, creating relationships, and developing a trust with the people around the players that we're going to recruit, that we're going to take care of those young men. And that's what I'm going to do. That's what I'll continue to do. That's what we'll do here at Kentucky as an entire program. So in terms of, I don't know that it's just one area. It's more about the ability to develop those relationships and the excitement to do that. And I'm fired up.
So what's your evaluation of the rest of the offensive roster strengths, maybe areas you think you need to focus on?
Yeah, I think obviously we've gotten in, tried to watch as much tape as we can on individuals. I'm really excited about some of the young players on the team. I think there's definitely some talent, right, in some different positions, and then some things we need to supplement. But I'm excited to work with those guys. I think some guys made some plays. I know you guys know a lot of their names and all that, but had a chance to maybe look at them individually. But I think it'll be about putting the entire rest of the offensive roster around, because obviously they lost some important pieces, right? Some guys that played good football last year. So replacing those pieces, or maybe we had them in the program and they're coming up, right, as young guys. So I think it's a combination of both. And we'll build the roster, because it's building the offensive roster means it's all got to fit together, right? And guys have to offset strengths and weaknesses. So that'll be a constant flow, right, throughout the next 30, 45 days.
The offensive line in particular, they did not rotate a lot last year. Their backups did not play a ton. So how, as a new staff, do you evaluate whether those guys are ready to step into those roles, or what you have to do?
Well, the good part is, right, that's a good question. We have a lot of practice film, right, and a lot of different things that we can evaluate, and there's a lot of ways to evaluate that. And we'll come through all those things, at different positions, and that's not just offensive line, but other positions. There are good young players who maybe didn't have the reps on the field, but there's other ways to make those evaluations and make great decisions. And then, then act on those decisions, right?
Joe, on the offensive line, they went portal heavy to build starting line last year. You lose 4 starters. That's been a big kind of hot button issue around here, just the offensive line development. What is going to be you and Will's plan to build that moving forward? Is it going to be, do y'all want to be portal heavy? Do you want to, get high school and develop? Just what is the plan there to build that moving forward?
Yeah, well, the good thing is, right, that's Will makes more money than me, so he gets to answer those questions. Right, that comes with the chair. But I would imagine, right, in talking to him, and we're hit the ground running, right? So in terms of that, we've had some conversations, but a lot of it is full speed, right? Full speed on getting to know our players, getting around them, and then attacking, right, and getting prepared for, right, who we think may or may not go into the portal at different positions, right, that we may need. But I think there's always a short-term plan, long-term plan, right? Short-term plan is to build a championship roster immediately, right? Long-term plan is what we're going to do. There'll always be a hybrid combination. You got to have young players in your program who you can develop, right? We believe we're the best developers in college football. We believe we're going to create a system that's going to allow us to develop those guys to their fullest potential. So we want to get guys in the program early and put them through that development program. But then also, right, in college football today, you have to supplement your roster every year, right? Things happen, injuries, guys leave, different stuff like that. So we'll do both. And I think if you can't do both nowadays, right, you're going to struggle. But if you always just rely on the portal forever, right, that snake will bite you too. So I'm sure we'll have a hybrid plan, right, and we'll get into the detail of that. But I'll let Coach Stein get a little bit more into that detail. But we'll always have short-term and long-term plans that we need to be attacking at the same time.
We got time for one more, yeah.
Uh-oh.
Is there
We can do both,
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
Slacks?
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, they came all this way.
Coach, is there an excitement to kind of come to Kentucky? Obviously, you see the opportunity with like schools like Vanderbilt and Indiana coming into the scene. Is there an excitement that Kentucky can go out there and do that same thing?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I was fired up when I got the opportunity to not only come and work with Coach Stein, but come to Lexington and be a part of this program. Man, for the last several years, I mean, Kentucky Coach Stoops did a really fantastic job here, right? Won a lot of football games. I think there's a great foundation laid, and I think there's some things, right, that Coach Stein will do moving forward and be aggressive in today's college football. But absolutely, we're coming here to compete for championships, right? And that was the I know what this program can do. I've seen this program. I've been in this league, and I know what Coach Stein can do. And the combination of the two, I couldn't be more fired up. A lot of friends that I have in the business who have worked here at Kentucky and lived in Lexington rant and raved about this place. I've gotten so many texts from people who have worked here in the past about just how much I'm going to love Lexington, how much I'm going to love working at the University of Kentucky. And I think that's what I'm excited about, not only for our football program, but also for my family, right? And this is an opportunity, right? And that's what you always look at in this business when you evaluate, right, taking jobs and coming places. You want to make sure you're at a place who's serious about competing, right? And has the opportunity to go compete for championships, and then is a great place for your family and some place that you align with, right, with your values. And that checked every box. I couldn't be more excited.
So Joe, what's your vision for Willie Rodriguez inside the end?
Well, he's a good player. He's a really good player, right? Vision is we're going to throw him the ball, okay? And Willie knows that. I've shown him many ways. No, Willie's a really good talent. He's a really good talent, and I think when you look at both Coach Stein's offense at Oregon and what we did at LSU, the tight end's been a focal point of the offense in the passing game, and I think you can just create really good matchups with tight ends, and this is a matchup league, right? People play match coverage in this league, right? It's cat coverage, right? Not to use the term right here, but it's cat coverage, right? So it's about your matchup where you can get the advantage. And we'll absolutely use our tight ends and our offense to create advantage and create matchups where we win, right? And I think I know Willie's excited about that, and I know we're excited about him. But I'll say this: we're excited about Henry, we're excited about Mikhail, we're excited about all the guys at that position because I think we can be really creative with what we're going to do moving forward. But I know your question was just about Willie. But thanks, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.